Good Wednesday evening to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Unscripted. A lot of weather to talk about, so let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. Joe, a lot of us are starting to see some rain right now, but you mentioned that this will turn into snow. When will we see that transition?
Yeah, a little later tonight, although if you're up in Newberry right now, it's already snowing. So the far northern portions of our area have already switched over, but some rain coming in, even a little thunder possible this evening, and then that will switch to snow as colder air works in. And the other thing, too, a lot of wind later tonight and tomorrow. But you know what? Here's the other thing. I'm talking about all this. Tomorrow night at this time, you look out the window, the sun's going to be out.
Oh, wow.
So
okay,
got that, too.
Something to look forward to.
We'll take a look at all that a little later.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. Our top story tonight, a reminder for all parents. Now is the time to enroll your child in preschool. And the state has announced record enrollment in its free pre-K program. But what exactly does that look like here in northern Michigan? Our Daniel Zivian reports on a local case study.
Governor Whitmer says the Great Start Readiness Program has reached a new height. 47,500 4-year-olds enrolled in programs that save families an estimated $10,000 per year. When it comes to competition between public and private options, Boyne City Public Schools says its Early Learners program is booming.
In the last 7 years, we've gone from 33 kids in our program to almost 150. We have over 70 4-year-olds doing GSRP, which is a really great number. And so we've had to scale up our staff. Our staff has become very stable in the last couple of years. We've held on to our teachers and our aides, and that's helped us to grow as far as the quality and the consistency that we offer these preschool families.
Little says Boyne City was selected for a special pilot program, allowing some 3-year-olds to attend tuition free as well. With bond money, they also added special education resources.
I think the big shift is the recognition by K-12 educators and education leaders is that preschool really does matter. The stronger the 4-year-old is in their academics and their behavior, the stronger they will be as a kindergartner and as a first grader. So the ripple effect of preschool is very significant on our overall education system.
Boyne City is part of the Shar M Intermediate School District, and parents wanting to apply for free pre-K must fill out a common application. Director of Early Childhood Jill Hahn says those are being accepted through the summer, with numerous spaces available. GSRP enrollment in Shar M is at 371 this school year, up from 340. In Boyne City, Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
And while all the funding does come directly from the state, the Great Start Readiness Program is decentralized. Now, be sure to check with your local school district on how to apply. Our next story takes us to Lansing, where House lawmakers today voted to advance a plan to use $3 billion to repair Michigan roads. Now, Republicans say this is a good way to fix roads without having to increase any taxes. But Democrats are concerned about where that money is coming from. Tyler Brummett with our sister station has reaction from the Capitol.
Now, before today's vote, House Speaker Matt Hall hosted a news conference to talk about the plan. He says this would be a smart way to fix Michigan's roads without hurting Michiganders.
Governor Whitmer has grown state government by 43%. People understand we can do it. If we prioritize roads above corporate giveaways, we can fix our roads without raising taxes, and we show how to do that.
House Speaker Matt Hall's plan would provide $3.2 billion to cities and counties to repair roads. As we've told you several times, many communities have struggled to fund these projects. We're told more than $1 billion would come from the state's gas tax and $2.2 billion from the corporate income tax. Some of that funding would be taken from certain corporate welfare programs ending. Many Democrats say they're against the plan.
We don't even know which programs and departments these cuts will apply to. What we do know is that a pared-down budget we voted on a few weeks ago included steep cuts to the Department of Health and Human Services and our schools.
But what's so disappointing to me is that this is really a slapdash, like paper mache, form of budgeting. It's not robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's robbing Peter and Paul, and Mary's already dead.
In the end, Speaker Hall says he's hoping Democrats will come to the table and support this proposal.
The Democrats like to poll test everything. Fixing the roads or some of these less popular programs, The people are going to agree with us. Let's fix the roads.
The package of bills will still need to be heard by state senators. Republicans will need help from Democrats who still control the state Senate. In Lansing, I'm Tyler Brummett. Back to you.
And switching gears now back to weather. This week is Severe Weather Awareness Week. Throughout the newscast this week, Joe has been giving some different safety tips on how to just stay safe in case of a severe weather event. But for more on this, let's turn things over to our guest today, Faith Frederickson. She's a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Gaylord. Faith, thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Hey, you're welcome.
So let's start
Thanks
off
for
with
having me.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for being here again. Why this week? Why is this specific week deemed Severe Weather Awareness Week?
Typically, this time of year is the time of year when things start to clash as we transition from the cold of winter to the warm heat of summer. So kind of like what we're seeing right now, a little bit where we've had like the severe weather down to our south across Illinois and Indiana over the last few days, and especially down across the Gulf Coast. That kind of idea tends to move northward as we go deeper into March and April, just as we start to transition back and forth between winter and spring, and it's fighting for, basically spring is trying to fight for dominance here.
Sure. And we do know that we are seeing some rain, maybe a little bit of thunder that could turn into snow in the next 24 hours. Could we expect to see any severe weather here in northern Michigan?
Not expecting anything severe across our area with this system, which is fortunate.
And I know a main goal of this week being deemed Severe Weather Awareness Week is just to do exactly what the name is, to spread awareness. What are some other things that happen throughout the week to do that?
For example, today they had the statewide tornado drill. So here at our office, we normally have a weekly weather radio test that we do, and normally that's at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays, or sometime between 11 and noon. But today we did it at 1 p.m. to align with the statewide tornado drill, and that's just kind of to get everybody on the same page. Just kind of, hey, if this was an actual tornado, what would you actually be doing? What would your plans be? It's time to maybe think about these things before something actually happens and you're panicking at the last minute.
Sure. So like you said, it's always good to have a plan. And actually our question of the day for this show, which we will pull up in a couple of minutes, is does your family have an emergency preparedness plan? The good news is right now, 67% of our voters say yes, they do, but 33% say no, their family does not have an emergency preparedness plan. What would you tell those 33% of voters who don't have one right now?
I mean, it can literally save your life. We experienced that here at our office with the Gaylord tornado a couple of years ago. I actually was a couple blocks south of it when it happened, and my personal severe weather plan was not great. I lived in a single apartment that was on a slab, and there really wasn't a good basement or interior wall for me to go to. So what I ended up doing was driving to my friend's house, and she had a basement, but that took like 5 minutes, and that's time that if you're not planning ahead and ready to go, that can put you in a bad situation. And I was fortunately very lucky because I ended up driving closer to the tornado
Oh gosh.
when it happened. But yeah, that's just making sure that you have that plan ahead of time helps you to know what to do and where to go when you're in that panic mode of, is happening, what do I do now?
Right. So what exactly should be included in this plan if someone does want to create one? What does that look like?
So you want to know something like where you'll go in case of whichever threat. Typically with tornadoes and damaging winds and hail, especially tornadoes, we want to get to the most interior room or the lowest part of your house. And you want to kind of have an idea of where you're going to go, whether you're at home or at school. And normally schools have these plans set up already. But even if you're out and about, like the Gaylord tornado, for instance, a lot of people were caught off guard on the roads and businesses, and of course, northern Michigan being very outdoor centric during the summer, there's a lot of people that are out and about that might be unfamiliar with the campground or the beach or wherever they're at, where the safe places are. So, kind of knowing where to go, what kind of action to take, and even how to communicate after the fact, because when that damage happens, that can take down some of the communications a little bit, and that can make it hard to make calls and get on the internet and things like that, because everybody's trying to get on at the same time, and there might be some damage to the infrastructure. So it's a good idea to kind of have that idea of like, okay, if this happens, this is how we're going to try to communicate. Do we have a second way of communicating if we can't get a hold of each other? Initially, things like that.
Sure. And again, always best to be prepared. I think a lot of people in northern Michigan think, oh, in northern Michigan, we get snowstorms, but nothing too severe. But that Gaylord tornado is a perfect example of, although it's not too common, we do get severe weather here.
We certainly do. Like you said, it's not very common to get dramatic severe weather like a tornado, but they do happen up here from time to time. Usually they're not that strong. We get a lot more like the straight line damaging winds that are much bigger of a swath. We get a lot of that. We get some hail, things like that. But, we always think, oh, it can never happen here, but it can. And we found that out with the Gaylord tornado for sure.
Is there anything else, Faith, that you want people to know? Any sort of safety tips or just anything in general about Severe Weather Awareness Week?
One of the good things to know, and this is actually something that came up after the Gaylord tornado, was knowing what alert systems are available for your area. So, for instance, we here at the office, when we send out a warning, it will go out on our weather radio broadcasters. In fact, this thing back here is our little monitor panel, and when we transmit those warnings, we'll flip and make sure that's going out over the air, and that alerts right away as soon as we hit the button for us. There's other ways of getting those alerts, like the wireless emergency or WIA alerts. We don't have control over how that functions, and that can be sometimes there can be a little bit of confusion about which cell phone towers and which phones are picking up on what things. And one thing that we did learn or discover, and was kind of a little bit of a controversy, was that there wasn't a tornado siren, and whether or not your area has a tornado siren, there are limitations. For instance, if you have one in your area, but you're a fair distance away from it, like when I grew up downstate on a farm, I was about couple miles from the nearest tornado siren, and I could hear it going off on its usual noon test, but mostly only if I was outside, like not inside if I'm sleeping. That kind of thing comes up too. So there are some limitations with the tornado sirens not being a do-all, end-all. And there's also a lot of the counties have county notification systems that you'd have to check with your local county to see which exactly they use, and you might have to actually sign up for those. But I actually did not have that sign. I didn't sign up for that until after the Gaylord tornado for my county up here in Otsego County. But once I did sign up for that, since then, as we've been like issuing things here at our office, my phone will go off for not only the WIA alert, but it'll also go off from the county alert system. And those can also be useful, because if there's like some other thing that's happening, they might put out an alert that's maybe not weather related, but might still be important.
Right. Well, Faith, thanks so much for joining us and for providing us all this very important information and some really great resources to just always make sure you are aware of what is going on. We really appreciate you taking your time to talk with us today. And really quick, before we take a commercial break, let's pull up our question of the day full screen so you folks at home can check that out and vote on it. So again, our question today is, do you or does your family have an emergency preparedness plan? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. You can also head to our website, UpNorthLive.com. But Joe will have much more on your forecast for the overnight hours. It's could be a little messy in some areas. So he'll break all of that down in just a couple of minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, a lot of us are seeing some rain right now that could turn into snow. Let's turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. Joe, do you think folks could be waking up to some snow on the ground?
I do, and I think a fair portion of northern Michigan, even though Big Rapids has been in the 60s today, even down there, we'll see a little bit of snow coming in. It's one of those nights, though, Maya. I mean, look at it. This is outside of our parking lot. This is what you have to look forward to on your break.
Oh, no. I might need to borrow an umbrella.
Yeah. I don't think I got one here.
Oh, no.
But we'll find you one. 38 outside of our studios. And it's just a dreary night out there with the north wind. Most of northern Michigan has been in the 30s and 40s. However, off to the south, you can see how much warmer it is. Detroit's it's 68 right now. It was in the 70s there today. That's because we have a frontal boundary kind of draped right over the area. So I'll draw on the surface map here. Low pressure over Illinois, and then you see that warm front. South of that front, it is mild. That's why Detroit's in the 60s. North of that front, on the colder side, was where we do have snow and a lot of snow out there. All right, let's run through our warnings. We have winter storm warnings for loose parts of Chippewa and Mackinac counties. Could see potentially 5 to, on the very high end, 10 inches of snow tonight through tomorrow. In the purple areas, winter weather advisories from Detour Village to Manistee. 1 to 6 inches of snow possible, gusty winds, blowing snow. And then the brown shaded areas are under a high wind advisory. So once this low passes by, we're going to get a cold north wind behind it. And that wind will really pick up late tonight through early tomorrow with a few gusts, maybe close to 50 miles per hour. Here's a look at radar currently up to the current time. We'll zoom in north. There's the snow in purple. So the rain snow line just getting into Mackinac City and St. Ignace and Sault Ste. Marie. We'll follow this along the lakeshore. For the lower peninsula, you're primarily just rain for this minute. And look down here, some thunderstorms. You see the lightning there, south, kind of offshore of Grand Rapids and Muskegon tonight. Might get a little thunder in our southern counties, but here's what happens tonight. Rain eventually switching to snow by morning. Kind of a messy situation to start the day tomorrow. But the end of the day, the sun will break through in the afternoon, and then quiet weather. And then Friday looks okay too. We'll get a little rain maybe and snow Friday night. There's our snow totals, 6, 7, 8 inches in the UP, less in lower Michigan, but still sloppy in the morning. And here's a look at that wind, which will, again, pick up out of the north, gusts to 40 some miles per hour tomorrow morning, and then the wind starts to come down tomorrow night. So in the forecast, there it is. And again, we're looking at 30s tomorrow, a cold start to the weekend on Saturday, 20s. And I'll tell you what, Maya, another round of snow, I think, and probably some accumulating snow on Monday next week.
Winter just wants to stick around.
Yes, it does.
Thanks, Joe. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Sports Director Harrison Beebe in just a couple of minutes. While many of us are putting the finishing touches on the Division I men's NCAA bracket for the tournament, there's a Northern Michigan team that's making quite the run in Division II. Let's turn things over to Sports Director Harrison Beebe for more on that. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya. Yeah, you're talking about Lake Superior State. The Lakers from Sault Ste. Marie are now in the Final Eight, the Elite Eight for Division II men's basketball. And that's a pretty cool spot to be. We know Ferris State made that run and won the national championship in 2018. So we've seen GLIAC teams, especially GLIAC teams from our viewing area, make that run. And they won last night. We've got, I believe, video of their celebration from last night in the Midwest Regional Final, where they defeated Missouri St. Louis by 13 points to bring home that regional title. And we've got two local connections, TCUS Andy Soma with the bracket in his hands right there dancing around. He's on that group, as well as Pellston grad Blake Cassidy are a part of this run for this Laker team to get them to the Elite Eight in Division II. And let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket, too, for the rest of the path if the Lakers want to chase that potential national championship. They are the 6th seed. They reseed all 8 teams that are left when they get to the Elite Eight. That'll be held down in Evansville, Indiana, starting this upcoming Tuesday. The Lakers are the 6th seed. They'll go up against 3 seed Dallas Baptist. With a win there, they'd play in the semifinals. Then next Thursday, and then who knows, maybe playing for a Division II national championship a week from Saturday down there in Indiana. Like we said, we know the template's been there for a GLIAC team from our viewing area to make that run. So maybe Lake Superior State will be next on deck potentially next week.
That'd be so cool. I hope they keep winning, mostly just to see more locker room celebration videos. I love those videos so much.
I like, too, how they're bringing the brackets to the teams. I see that more and more now. They're letting teams kind of stamp their name on these brackets and show they're advancing instead of just kind of doing it on your computer. You're actually getting to do it on a big board in your locker room.
The real deal. A very cool touch, right, Harrison? Thanks so much for joining us. We do have to take one more quick break, but coming up in just a couple of minutes, we'll take a look at the live results for our question of the day. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
This week is Severe Weather Awareness Week in Michigan. It's a great time to make sure you have a safety plan in place just in case any severe weather does happen. So we wanted to know if you or your family has an emergency preparedness plan. 63% of voters said yes, 37% said no, but hopefully that 37%, the no was more of a not yet, but we're working on it. All right, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.